To quote Stephen Piercy of Rat, I am back for more. And I am back for more for good reason right now on Sportswire Radio. This is the final stream of the month of August, and it's almost in a way not quite the final stream of summer, but I can assure you our guest here, boy, will he end this month with a bang. Because our guest here tonight, why is he important, ladies and gentlemen? Because, well, he's wrestled on the ground. He's wrestled on the mat. He's wrestled on the floor. He's wrestled no ring, no rope. He's wrestled even on a trampoline. And he's certainly been doing a hell of a job wrestling in the ring now for our very dear friends over in the IMF, where he's had not one but two tag team title shots recently. And, well, his tag team partner has been almost in the middle of all of this drama and this controversy in the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit, where now he's declared war on veteran wrestlers and wants to put companies in a nail in the coffin. And we thought he was this nice little boy from Illinois, and all of a sudden he's morphed into this now guy that's maybe putting the trampoline versus the ring talk in the center of it all and everything else. I'll get his perspective on it. I'll also talk about maybe this guy, the Blonde Don you heard of. Maybe I'll talk about this guy that was on Sportswire Radio 9 days ago named Levi McDaniel, where he's wrestled more than one time against him, and he's wrestled him. And, oh, by the way, no ring, no rope. And maybe I'll ask him about his experiences in the IMF, and maybe I'll talk about a Star Wars film or two that he's been a part of and a fan film made, and his own promotion. Oh, by the way, BYW Pro Wrestling, and we'll get into that story, plus who knows whatever else. And I'm going to try to give him this introduction, even though my voice is almost literally feels like it's going to die. But we are in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage. And this is basically the platform that the IMF built. So if I don't attempt to at least give our guest here that introduction, I wouldn't be really well doing my job. And although I might want to lose my job, I still want to give our guest that introduction, because even though he's been here before, we really haven't got a chance to hear his side of the story, especially after his tag team partner has been, well, certainly rather giving us some furious things he's been saying over the past week or so. But I digress. I really got a chance to know this man over the past few months. I've gotten a chance to watch some of his stuff, and what a small world the wrestling world is, because outside the ring, there's some, well, controversial figures that definitely know who our guest is. But I won't ask him about those tonight, but what I will ask him for is hopefully his undivided attention as I give him that introduction that everybody else has been waiting for here on Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station. So with that, wait for it. Further ado, here on the Sports Report, #1 global sports show. A man that has wrestled on the ground, on the floor, on the mat, no ring, no rope, even on a trampoline, and now inside the ring for the IMF. He is simply put the man, the myth, the legend, Star Wars fan film star. His name is Thomas Mcentee. My friend, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. You nailed it, by the way.
I appreciate that, because really the last 2 days I did 4 hours yesterday. I did 3 the day before, and I just did an hour and 40 minutes with D Savage, our guest, just before. And I was like, I don't know if I can pull this one off. I'm like, you know what? And in between that, I recorded an intro for my internet radio station. So it's been an interesting last 48 to 62 hours or whatever it's been, but we'll do it again tomorrow and Monday. And then finally, I'll take a little bit of a break, just doing one show a week for the next 2 or so weeks. So that's that. But it's always good to be with somebody like you for the first time here on this platform. And first of all, how you feeling? How's everything going here tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good. Ready to get my trivia on, I should say. I'm ready to talk and speak to this.
Because I had you on a couple months ago, and it was like we got cut off a little bit. You were here for a few minutes, and I kind of felt like when it came to your guest, who you were with, your tag team partner in the Furious Tees, he's certainly spoken a lot on this platform, but I haven't got a chance to talk with Thomas Mcentee. But let's start off in current events. I always like to start out in current events. For those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters, Thomas Mcentee, you and your tag team partner, Tyler Fury, are the Furious Tees, and you furiously tried to take those tag team championships away from the Midwest Express, Jason Myers and Jordan Nets, but you came up short. And tell us what happened and where do we go from here as I get ready to put the match up on the screen.
Well, honestly, it was a hard-fought match. The only issue that we had was we walked into that match a ball of fire, but I think that me and Tyler, we blown ourselves up a little bit in the beginning. We let them play their mind games, let them do all this to us, and they caught us off guard. And then, not to mention, a very, very bad fall for Tyler with the back of the head kick from that springboard. I just don't think that he had it in him to kick out. I was down and out. I couldn't do anything about it. But you know what? I got to give Tyler props because he kept going for a little longer after that. That's all I got to say because he's a fighter. Tyler's a fighter. That's what it is. If I had a chance to redo the match, if I had a chance, I would try my darndest to save him and keep the match going. But, man, I got knocked out good on the outside.
And we're going to put the match up here very shortly. But let me ask you this. You guys have had now 2 tag team title shots, the last 2 IMF shows. What have you guys learned from this in order to kind of go back to the drawing board next show coming up here, which I know you guys are going to be back here on in a few weeks. But what do you guys learn from these experiences and coming up short in order for you guys to finally get over the hurdle here?
These experiences are very good lessons for us. They're stepping stones, I should say. We work hard to figure ourselves out. And honestly, what I think we've learned the most of is learning how to pace ourselves, learning how to get that momentum towards us. Because once we do that, there's no stopping us. There's nothing that's going to stop us. We are literally the most furious tag team in IMF. We're going to figure it out. And when we do, they are going to suffer for this.
Okay, but let me ask you this question. The Midwest Express, pound for pound, have been one of the best tag teams in the underground and in the backyard wrestling circuit for a long time now. What has made them so successful from your vantage point and now getting a chance to wrestle them?
Well, from my vantage point, what I think makes them so successful is that they know how to get into their opponents' heads. They know how to get down deep into their souls, and they know how to take advantage of them. And when they do,
they know how to win.
Yeah, they know how to win. But I noticed some weaknesses that they had when I was wrestling. They have a couple of times where they let their cockiness get the best of them, and that's when I was able to just take control. But they don't have that all the time. They're a very solid tag team. That's the main reason why I think they're so successful is that they have had so much chemistry that they know how to be a tag team.
But you and Tyler are still learning that, and that's obviously something that you guys have to figure out if you guys are going to be successful and eventually win gold in the IMF. Is that a fair statement?
That is very fair. Yes. We walked into this as a tag team because we knew that we could do something in the tag division. We wanted to make an impact. Me and Tyler, we thought to ourselves, if we start a tag team, we're going to go all the way. We're not going to stop at this one little hurdle if we lose. We're going to keep pushing ourselves. We're going to keep moving forward from this. And if we fail, we're just going to keep getting back up.
Okay, fair play. But, you talked about some of the things when it comes to the Midwest Express and the confidence or overconfidence and things you saw as mistakes. I mean, I guess I'll ask it. What were some of those mistakes from your advantage point that you saw that you believe eventually they can be vulnerable from?
They take a lot of time to get into their opponent's heads. Just like that part right there. He took a couple seconds to taunt the crowd and taunt everybody, and I tripped him up. That's just a good example. They think that they're all that, in which they have the right to think that, but in the end, they got to back it up. And if they can't see a weakness like that, then they're very vulnerable to a defeat.
But haven't they earned that right? Because Jordan Netz last year was the IMF World Champion. These guys were front and center at Summer Bash. I'm wearing my Summer Bash shirt. Summer Bash was the event that brought a dozen companies in the backyard and the underground wrestling circuit together. These guys were very successful there. These guys have gone basically show after show in the IMF. And as I stated, I think pound for pound, they're the best tag team right now in the underground wrestling circuit, at least from what I see in backyard and underground. Certainly there are teams in the underground that go in the Northeast and in the independent scene, but in our backyard underground circuit, and especially here in the Midwest, well, I think they're the best tag team pound for pound. So haven't they earned the right to kind of go about things the way they have, because they've been successful in all these different places they've been?
Well, you're absolutely right. They've had the right to be that way. They have the right to have that mindset, but they got to understand and not underestimate other people, because eventually that's going to be their downfall. When they underestimate someone like us, me and Tyler, eventually they're going to realize, oh crap, I went too far, and then they're going to lose.
Okay, all right, fair point. I definitely see where you're going with that. Let me ask you a different question, because you actually have been doing this for a while. You've got a lot of experience. You've got your own company. We'll get into. You've probably got the experience advantage of everybody here in this match. But as a tag wrestler now, what's that adjustment been for you from going from a guy that's been singles, whether it's been in your own fed, BYW Pro Wrestling, or obviously in LFMP? We'll certainly get to Mr. McDaniel. I have no doubt that'll be a big topic. But what's your adjustment like from now being a singles guy going into tagging with Tyler Fury?
To be fair, tag teaming, yes, you're right. I haven't had much experience in that group of individuals. I've tagged with my promotion for a little bit. I've been part of tag factions with the Blonde Dawn. I've been in tag factions with a superstar called Razor. I've been tag partners with a lot of different people. We've never had many matches with tags, but I know the chemistry that you need to be a tag team. And me and Tyler, we got that chemistry. If we just work it out, I think that we could be one of the best tag teams on the IMF roster or in the whole independent scene.
Well, obviously being the best tag team in the IMF roster would mean you would win the IMF Tag Team Championships, correct?
Yes.
And that's obviously something that you have a desire, because you guys now have gotten 2 different tag team title shots in the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had a wrestler on last weekend, a guy, Big Tex, who in another promotion has wrestled for 6 different title matches, whether it's in some form. And he's come up short in every single one of them. And you guys now have had 2 tag team title shots for 2 different tag team titles. Is there a concern that, let's say, if there's another tag team title shot and if you come up short again, that you guys in your minds may never get the job done and would be labeled choke artists? Is that a fair statement or a concern of your guys? Let's say you run it back with the Midwest Express and for whatever reason you come up short, even if it's another tag team title that comes into play here in the IMF. Is that something that concerns you or maybe even Tyler?
It's something that comes up into our mind, me and Tyler. We all have our weaknesses. We all have our worries. But we got to remember that if we stay confident in ourselves and we put our all into it, we will not fail. But I get your point that if we lose, there's a big chance that we might not get another shot for a very, very long time.
Yeah, because you know what? It comes up. I was speaking with Tex, and they now jokingly say it's the Big Tex failure tour because this guy has had in his promotion pretty much every title shot there is. He had a world title shot, a world extreme title shot, an anarchy title shot. He had a global title shot. He had 6 title shots, and he lost all of them. And you know, it was another guy I had on RJS who got another title shot against a wrestler he had, and he lost all the matches against him. It's almost like a running joke. You can't even have him in the ring almost with the opponent. So, in a sense, the first match, okay, it's the first time, right? You know, first time things happen. Second time now at the Midwest Express, you come up short. All right, maybe you could say you get one more do-over, but after that, you go into that territory. You hear it all the time in sports. The Buffalo Bills come up. The San Francisco 49ers come up recently. Teams that always get there, but they're left at the altar. So that's why almost you got to eventually win one of these.
You're exactly right. That is a very good statement. I understand the importance of winning a match of this caliber, and us coming up short in this match was just so upsetting to both me and Tyler. But we got to realize that if we ever get another shot at this, which we will, because we're going to plow through all the competition, we got to realize that we got to climb our way back up. And we got to earn our way back.
Tyler certainly said a lot about that. There's no question that he said a lot about that on this platform of late. But in terms of it, do you feel like you're the veteran of this team and that if you're going to get that next shot at this, whenever it might be, that it's going to be your veteran experience that's going to maybe propel you guys to get over that finish line?
Now, I think in the long run, I have more experience than Tyler. Definitely. I've been through a lot of wars, a lot of battles. And
the guys in the backyard circuit know you. There's names, you know, some names, well, interesting names on this platform and in this circuit that they know who you are. So, you know, yeah, you're a known entity.
Yeah, I've been through hell. I've literally been through hell. But, you know, I can't take all the credit, I don't think, with my status. I think Tyler is just as equal as I am because we've both been through wars, we've both been through battles, and he has a chip on his shoulder just like I have a chip on my shoulder.
Oh, he's got a major chip on his shoulder right now. I mean, you know, I'll definitely talk about that in a little while because that's been a big topic right now in the entire – he has been at the center of this whole thing in the backyard circuit. I never saw this coming. I don't know about you. I'll get into that. But, you know, when you wrestle these matches in these big IMF crowds that you're going into, what has that adjustment been like for you in your career from where you started? How has that adjustment been like now?
Honestly, from when I came into IMF, fighting Felix Jones,
yes,
winning my first debut match, ever since then, I felt like I've been falling into place, slowly but surely falling into place.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that the start of my career was the best it could have been, but I can say very, very happily that I have put on a show each and every time I went out in that ring. And I have proven myself time and time again that I have that drive to keep being a superstar. Don't get me wrong. We've had losses. And I, for one, have never been pinned or submitted. Tyler's been the one that's lost those.
Maybe that's why Tyler's been reacting the way he has and just lashing out at all these veterans. Maybe that's what it was. I mean, we'll get to that for sure. But does that make you feel in a way like, you know what? We can still do this because you still haven't been pinned or forced to submit here so far? Is that something that you walk away still with some type of confidence going into whatever situation you're about to go into next?
Honestly, I feel like it's a statement. I feel like I can officially say that I have done it. You know what I mean? Like I have not been defeated. I felt that, and there's the stomp. I felt that. I've been there, and it's just crazy to me that, you know, I got so much resilience to the point where it's just like I can't let myself go down. I've been so stubborn my whole career, and that's been in the backyard. That's been everywhere. I've been stubborn. You know,
why have you been stubborn for? Why have you been stubborn these past 5 or 6 years in the backyard circuit? Why have you been stubborn?
I've been stubborn because I got this thing in my head telling me that I cannot quit. There is something in here that's telling me to keep pushing, to keep going. I don't know what it is, but it's a very big thing that just wants me to keep going. And when I get that rush of momentum, that's when it goes. That's when it goes off. That's when it's like, I got it. I got it in the bag. I missed those on the tag matches because it's just a new territory for me. I'm
well,
still
do you want to
learning.
stay? Well, I mean, listen, guys all the time figure out, do I want to stay tag or do I want to go back to singles? And we see here the match is over and you guys are fighting still after the match. But, I mean, not to put you on the spot, but do you want to stay in tag or do you want to go back to singles at some point? I mean, I don't know what the situation is between you and Tyler in that regards, but, you know, what is that to you?
Honestly, me and Tyler, we got the chemistry. We got the feel with each other. I feel like eventually me and him are going to kind of separate, but I don't feel like the faction's going to be gone. I don't feel like Furious Tees are going to be gone. I feel like we're just going to branch off into singles eventually. But that's a long ways away. We got a lot to prove in the tag division.
Are there more similarities than meets the eye between you and Tyler?
I believe so. A lot of people in the back and even in the squared circle, they don't understand the chemistry that me and him have because it's so unique. Me and him, we're absolute misfits on the outside, but in the inside, we're absolute connected. We know how to be a tag team.
Okay, that's an interesting statement. I mean, how are you guys so connected then?
We're connected by one thing that's fueling us. The feeling of accomplishment. The accomplishment of proving to ourselves that we are someone. We are something. It's something really hard to explain in words. We push and we push and we push, and then one day we realize that we've already made it as high as we can go. And that's when I think that me and him will start branching off. But that's a long ways to go.
Well, is there a ceiling? Is there a limit for, you know, you guys, or is there no ceiling? The sky is the limit.
I feel like there's no ceiling. Obviously, the second match I was a part of, that was the first time me and Tyler tagged. The first time we tagged, we were against the what's it called? MWA champions. Okay, we're the tag champs. We were a part of that. We could have taken home that gold. So if we can get those guys coming around here, different types of companies, sky's the limit. There's nothing that's stopping us from being up there. But that's just a matter of, can we get our tag team assembled in a way that we can figure out how to get wins, figure out how to keep ourselves moving. That's the big thing that we are working on right now as we speak.
Let me ask you this question. whether it's winning the IMF tag team titles or not, what would it mean to you to win gold in the IMF and especially those IMF tag team championships?
It would mean the absolute world to me. Wrestling has been a part of my life forever, literally forever. I loved it since day one, and I came here to prove that I'm something. When I walk into that squared circle, I feel like I'm home. There's a way of thinking. There's a way, and I don't remember the term, of thinking that when you walk into that squared circle or anywhere, you feel like you're at home. That is the one thing that I feel. When I get that gold, because I know that's a win. When I get that gold.
Yep, not an if. Good call.
It's not an if. It's not an if. It's a when I get that gold. I'm going to celebrate it with all the IMF fans because I love the fans more than anything. Fans are everything. Fans are absolutely
without
everything.
The fans, we wouldn't be here. I mean, without the fans, we wouldn't have a platform and an outlet. You know, exactly. I'm curious, and I do want people, if you're here, please hit the sub button for our friends at the IMF because they're almost at 2,100 subscribers. They're at 2,070 plus, so they're a few away from 2,100. They'll probably get it in the next few days, but I'd like you to help them get that subs up right now. But we are here with Thomas Mcentee, the man, the myth, the legend, and my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. Your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. Thomas is also the owner of BYW Pro Wrestling. I will put that link up here in 5 or 10 minutes. But right now, I've got the YouTube link up for our friends in the IMF, and I'll get to the comments in a little while. But let me ask you this question. You talked about wrestling, how it's always been there for you. It's always, there's been in your DNA almost, I think you just mentioned. So what got you into wrestling and this start to where you've had this long career in the backyard circuit? I mean, it's kind of, in a way, if I'm not mistaken, you've actually been in the backyard circuit. You've been wrestling in the yard longer than even heavy hitters and big names on this platform. I think like Omen Black and Soldier GP, I'm pretty sure. You've been wrestling longer in the yard than they have been. That's an interesting, kind of thing when you think about that for a second. You've been wrestling longer than they have.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about. It really is.
Very interesting. You've been actually wrestling almost as long as names like Aaron Blaze and Jack Delta, who always get hyped on. You've been wrestling that long. That's kind of really interesting to think about in a sense.
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's kind of surreal to me because, like the wrestling world is so big. And you go and you walk yourself out, you make yourself a name for everything. And then you see all these people that are less in the ring or out in the yard than you are, that are making bigger statements than you are. It makes you want to go harder, fight for the right thing. That's what it is. It's just the adrenaline, that guy's been in the ring way less than I have. and it just kind of gets to you, it just really.
How does that make you feel, though, that you've been in the backyard circuit for as long as you've had? I mean, you've obviously seen different changes and different things, and how does that make you feel to have been doing it for as long as you've been?
I feel very honored about it. Like being able to keep going and keep doing different wrestling things. The backyard included, everything. It's so surreal to me because, like I said, it started off as a dream. Now it's turning into a reality, and it's just surreal.
Well, I'm glad it's surreal to you and such. And, obviously you're a part of a company in the IMF, and you touched upon it very briefly. And, what does it mean to you to be in the IMF, seeing all the success? You talked about the fans. The IMF has come so far in really such a short amount of time. This was a company, a year and a half ago, a little more than that, was basically trying to get their name out on places like the James Taylor Nemesis Sessions show when that runs once in a blue moon, or obviously this platform. And here they are now. They're in venues. They've got people from all over the underground, the backyard, and the independents that want to be a part of things that the IMF has created. So what is it like for you to be a part of the IMF and the overall company here these past several months?
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. When I was filming for LMFP, up in their old setup of
Yes.
IMF.
Which it wasn't that long ago, but it feels so long, when they used to do it in the yard.
I was doing that, and then they literally came up to me and said, "We want you in IMF." And that's when I was like, yes. I was so happy. I was so happy to make a name for myself.
It's good to hear. You got a chance to have an outlet, have a place to go and wrestle indoors, right? Because you as a yarder have gotten a chance to wrestle in so many different forms, but to have that outlet where people can see you has got to be a special feeling then.
It's very special. It's so special to me that that's something that I just thought up of in my head, when I was younger, that I wanted to do something, and being able to do it, it just makes me so excited to see my potential and how many walls I can break.
I think you're going to break a bunch of them here. And this is Thomas Mcentee. This is his BYW page on YouTube. Please go out there and hit that sub button for him. Thomas is actually not too far away from 500 subscribers. So let's get him closer to 500 subs. I'm almost at 1,000 subs, but Thomas is almost at 500 subs. So go hit that sub button for him. I can assure you it'll be worth it. You can see his career, his journey, his company, and see some familiar faces along the way. So please go out there and support him and support those who support us. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. Thomas, I always ask people that come on to Sportswire this question. I want to ask you this question. We've got a few months left in the year, so I'll ask you this question. It's kind of hollow, but I'll still ask it to you. What are your goals here for the rest of the year?
My goals for the rest of this year is to make the Mcentee name proud, to get out there, make a name for myself, and keep pushing myself into the new year and keep moving towards that high horse that everybody's on. And I'm going to get there.
What's that high horse, though? What is the high horse that everybody's on? I mean,
just the people behind them. The fans, everything. My goal is to get people behind me so we can get my name out there and make it better and make everything bigger for the IMF. The biggest goal for me is to make IMF a bigger federation, to make it better.
Well, what do you think about the news with the IMF now having a second venue? The IMF is going to be in Cedar Rapids. I'm sure you heard about the announcement here on Sportswire a few weeks ago with Omen, Soldier, and Il Drago. And how do you think that announcement will play into the IMF growing the brand even further?
Honestly, I think it's going to grow way bigger because now that they have two venues, they can host more shows, like different times, different areas. And you can drag in more of a crowd because people want to see wrestling everywhere. If you open your doors different places, people are going to want to come.
I was wondering, what was it like for you at the last show? Sean Jovi on his vlog showed guys in the IMF going around with the float, with the big truck it was, and you guys were walking the streets. I'm sure you saw that experience. And what was that like to see everybody in action, just being there in the sense of the community? What was that experience like?
The experience was amazing. I mean, seeing all of them walking out there, trying to pump up the IMF and just going out and doing that. That's just amazing. That's a proper way of growing a federation, and that's the groundwork that's amazing about wrestling companies. They keep going forward no matter what. They're not going to stop. They're going to, and it's for the fans. It's for the fans. It's always been for the fans. That's the best part about it, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. So we'll take that off the screen. We'll come back here. Let's read some comments. I got some comments, so let's get to them here. Hello there, Thomas Mcentee. Yes, we'll certainly say hello to him. Omen Black popped in for a minute. It's his platform. It's his show. And he wants to say hello to you, not to me, but he wants to say hello.
Hi, Omen.
Yes, hello to Mr. Black. We hope he's doing well. Jason Myers, though, calls you welcome toddler number 2. Jason was here yesterday on the show, and we didn't touch upon your tag team partner because I'm waiting to talk about him. You just wait for that. But obviously, anything you want to say to Mr. Myers?
Just keep talking. Just keep talking, Jason. Just keep talking.
Technically, wouldn't you be the elder statesman in this?
I mean, technically, yeah. Technically.
But yet you're the toddler. I mean, Tyler looks like a toddler.
Kind of funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real interesting world we live in. We're a really interesting world there. Jason Myers, furious toddlers. It was a hassle putting them down for their nap, but they went night-night. That was a clever line, though, he had to say. Very clever.
It's clever. It's very clever, but, next time they're not going to be so lucky.
Well, you've learned, obviously, from what you've seen here, and that's going to help you guys, get over the top. Hello to Tom number 2, kind of like 360, pie, the pie chart, almost Ox McCoy. And let me ask you, Ox is always bound in blood. He reigns in blood. He sends his messages in blood. What's it like sharing a locker room with Ox McCoy in those centers?
It's kind of crazy to me because when I first started with Backyard, I won the hardcore belt very early on, and I've held it for a long time. And eventually, it's on my bucket list. I want to fight Ox in a hardcore match. Yes.
You sure you want to do that, Ox McCoy?
Yes.
What? I mean, I know you've had the wars with Levi McDaniel, and Levi was here, and he had a lot to say last week. But you sure you want Ox McCoy?
Oh, I'm 1,000%. I'm 1,000% sure.
He's had legendary matches years ago on the deathmatch circuit. I mean, he's legitimately he has a video out there on TikTok where he's Omen stapling him and he goes the internet sound. I mean, he's that's how long he's been around. I mean, I'm almost perplexed. I would think just focus on those tag team titles, but here you are declaring that you want Ox McCoy.
Eventually, yes, that is one of my goals. But right now, I'm focused completely on the tag division. But Ox, one day, I want to share that ring with you because you know what? You're hardcore, and I like hardcore. So let's get it done.
Okay, well, you know what? I obviously give you a lot of props. I give you a lot of respect for, going after Mr. McCoy. I know it wouldn't be my exact, move there or my exact, ideal, but we'll leave that at that. And I hear through the birdie that there's a guy, Judas, who might have gotten to something tonight, but I'll leave that for those that when they air the match in All Legendary Wrestling. And he's been kind of a guy that's been declared as a future of the backyard wrestling circuit. He had his own Judas 817 moment. Some would say that Judas inspired your tag team partner to kind of declare war and want to put the nail in the coffin of some guys in the IMF locker room. But yes, Tom interviewing Tom. Yes, but you should interview me. Your name's Tom, and you've done Star Wars fan films. Maybe you should interview me. But yes, really good show so far. We had nice show tonight. We had D Savage who was talking a lot of things, and you've kind of given us a balance. But let me get to some more comments. You'd be better off without that baggage on your side. It's an interesting point because you seem like tonight a really down-to-earth guy. You seem like down-to-earth. You seem like you're experienced. You're kind of a veteran in this sense, but yet your tag team partner, I mean, he's been furiously going after these veteran guys in the backyard circuit, and basically he's declaring war on them, calling them dinosaurs, saying that they need to have their nails in the coffin. And it's basically he's almost waving the flag for trampoline wrestlers. I mean, these young invaders, these young whippersnappers seem like they want to go and declare war on the guys that have basically, kept the backyard wrestling circuit alive and well. And he's also, again, talked about, the torch being passed, and they feel it's time for them to move on. We've had this old debate about guys that are maybe too old in the backyard circuit, and you seem to be the complete opposite. That's why maybe Jason Myers does have a point.
Yeah. But you know what? That's what makes our tag team so great. He's unhinged. but I got the mindset.
Did you think that was in him? I mean, I didn't. I like Tyler. He'd always been here the last 3 or 4 months on the shows. You look at him in social media. He looks like just a typical middle America kid, just well liked. Almost like from a Leave It to Beaver time, once upon a lifetime ago. And he just didn't seem like a guy that would all of a sudden be declaring war on guys like Sean Jovi and Darkfire and Sinister, a.k.a. Craven Rage, and Jonathan Pierce, the Executioner, and maybe even guys like Omen Black and Soldier GP are next. I mean, maybe Levi McDaniel's lumped into that. I mean, Tyler Fury and his band of cohorts, who some would say maybe are up past their bedtime, or maybe they're past their curfew or need to be tucked into bed, is even Jason Myers has a point on that. They seem like they're all of a sudden just, like you said, unhinged, and they just seem to have no regards for their elders.
In all seriousness, it's the new generation. Every generation from the past is going to say, these guys are too old. These guys are dinosaurs. They shouldn't be here.
These are trampoliners, though. These are trampoline guys. I mean, these guys are, guys that probably would do well in the backyard wrestling nexus, some would say, not to step up to heavy hitters like Sean Jovi, who's a BYW legend. Sean Jovi's from the Global Backyard Wrestling Network. I mean, you can say what you want about Craven Rage on this platform, but he has been the 2-time all-out world heavyweight champion. He's the man, some would say, has carried the torch in the Wisconsin backyard wrestling circuit. I mean, there's a lot of names that they seem to be targeting, and it almost seems like some would say, is it too far?
In all seriousness, and I love Tyler to death, but sometimes he's unhinged. Sometimes I think he might have hit his head too hard.
He's going after these guys. They've now said they want a backyard brawl. They want to send him to Wisconsin. They want him and his friends, who might be an executioner, might be calling themselves Money as their nickname. And, they're going to have to go and back this up. And Wisconsin now has said, you know what, you want to basically put a nail in the coffin to us? Well, you know what, get off the trampoline. You're going to have to bounce your way into a ring. And we're going to see if these trampoliners can go basically bounce into a ring and see if they can hang with some of the biggest names who've shined on the brightest stage here on this platform and have built the All Wrestling Matters movement. And we're going to see if they can really, back up the talk. I don't know.
It's going to be an interesting predicament, I think.
Very interesting.
Yeah, because things are heating up. Things are heating up, and I'm all for it. I'm all for chaos.
I mean, the chaos is coming because people thought, it's peace and prosperity now. Not so fast. Tyler Fury and his band of friends, Dalton the Executioner, Nolan Money McDermott. I mean, they have basically now declared war on companies like WCE, and if WCE gets the nail in the coffin, could IMF be next? I don't know. Who knows what's on Tyler Fury's mind? I don't know. I have no idea, but he's here and says hello.
Hi there.
Hello. What a coincidence. My friend Ashley D, who was once upon a time the ring announcer of XCW, says back, yes, this is my second round today. Yes, it is. And yes, hi to STBW. My friend Greg out there in the South says, how's everyone doing? Well, until my voice falls, doing pretty good. Actually, I'm good right now. Actually, I feel pretty good. Still awake. I'm glad you're awake because we're back here. Let me get to some more comments. Jason Myers, your opponent a few weeks ago, is back at it. I talk my talk and I walk my walk. The gold's on my waist. See, I know Jordan can handle himself, but you versus Ox is like a lion versus a zebra.
Yeah. They can talk all they want, and honestly, talk is talk.
Some would say that would be like you versus Gunshot in a match. You versus Ox is the same thing, some would say.
Yeah, I could see that. But the problem with it is that, like I said, underestimating things ruins lives.
Oh, I agree with that. Listen,
everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good point. It's a good point.
They talk trash. They talk all this stuff. They think that they are so arrogant to the point where they can get into my head. I am usually very calm and collected. But
you
when
seem
I'm in that
very
ring,
calm and collected tonight. You seem very relaxed, very comfortable, very professional, like on the air. So yeah. Whereas your tag team partner, he's been losing it a little bit. He's been losing it on here, interrupting people, calling people out. Like I said, I thought I knew Tyler. Always had great conversations off the air. Been very friendly. Always, he seems like he's a sport official in his home state. He seems like a good, nice middle America boy. Could be, the definition of, the American dream where he lives. But yet now all of a sudden he's turned into a whole different thing. But that's a different conversation. But thank you, Jason, for that comment. Let me take this off the screen for a minute. But if you are on Sportswire Radio, I'm going to be back here a couple of times. First of all, I'm here tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time with Remy Ravage, who I'm sure you met recently. Remy Ravage, who was the XCW International Champion. She was at Summer Bash. She wrestled Sean Jovi. She was teaming with Sean Jovi at All Out Warfare. She's here tomorrow alongside Sean Jovi. And I'm here around 10 o'clock Eastern time with James Taylor, the Nemesis James Taylor, the owner of ROEW. He'll have a lot to say, as he always does. And I'll be here Monday night with Justin Parsley and Anthony Steele. I'm sure a man that you've probably heard a lot of in the backyard circuit, who has also once upon a time been in an IMF ring. And he is going to be here live. He makes his return to Sportswire Radio for the first time in weeks. And in between it, I'll be here with a trampoline wrestler, Maxwell Reeves from BCW. So a lot of happenings here on Sportswire Radio. I'm here on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579. Go hit that sub button for me. I'm almost at 1,000 subs. I'm like 114 or 15 away. So I'm almost there. Help me get there. But in the meantime, we're here with Thomas Mcentee. So I got to ask you, Thomas, I was here last week with a man that certainly needs no introduction, a man that is an absolute legend here. And I have a match I'm going to put up on the screen here of you with, and that is Levi McDaniel. And you want to talk about royalty, a man that's lived in Japan, wrestled James Storm, name dropped Hulk Hogan here. I mean, Levi McDaniel, how lucky were we to have him here on Sportswire Radio? How lucky do we have him here being in the IMF? And you've known him for quite a while. And I got to ask you, for those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio, Levi McDaniel, what's it been like working under his learning tree and also, wrestling the man on more than one occasion?
Honestly, yes. Levi McDaniel is a professional within himself.
For sure.
He pushes himself to his very limit, even when he's hurt. Even when he's hurt, he goes out to that ring and he puts on a performance. But here's the issue that I have with Levi McDaniel. All right? Everyone looks at him as a legend, which every right to look at him as a legend. But I worked with him. I've been a part of him. I've been with him. I've fought against him. I still have bad blood with him. But here's the problem. Levi thinks that he's the upper talent, which is very, very suiting for him because he is. But I just think that he gets the better of his own self. And then he falls into that loop of like, he can do anything. And what I'm scared of, even though I am absolutely boiling blood with this guy, is that one of these days that anger, that frustration that he has is going to be the downfall of him. And he's going to hurt himself so bad that he can't get back in the ring.
Well, he said some of that here on this platform. He's trying to get himself back in the ring. And if you have your way, he won't be going in a ring ever again if he returns, basically.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that he's got to take it more slow. I got respect for the dude. I got respect for the man. But the problem is he's so disrespectful. I go in that ring and I give it my all, and he still knows a way to get into my head. And it's hard to get into my head.
I could see that. Well, but that's what he's supposed to do. He's a veteran. He's wrestled some of the very best who've ever stepped foot in our sport. Isn't that what he's supposed to do or no?
That's exactly what he's supposed to do. That's why I'm saying that I got so much respect for him. but there's just a point where you're like, he's going too far. He's going to push himself to the very edge, and then he's going to become crazy in himself. He's going to lose his own humanity.
When do you think that point will take place?
Honestly, if he goes back in the ring again, I think it'll be very short-lived. He will be just too caught up in his head. And then eventually he's just going to be a rabid beast that doesn't care about a bell, that doesn't care about a ring. He'll beat anybody up anytime, anywhere. I feel like that's what he would do if he keeps going into that direction of he wants to get back in the ring as soon as possible.
Are you going to be that person that would like to, put him on the shelf permanently should he make that return to the ring?
It's like putting him out of his misery. I want to accomplish that goal of saying he's got to go in the most respectful way possible. That's what I'm trying to get across here. He's my rival, and he'll always be my rival, but I got to have respect for the man because he's got so much background. So much background in Japan. You said it.
Oh, absolutely.
All those areas, but he's got
Europe. He's wrestled in, had a big following in Europe. You know, he name dropped again James Storm here, Hulk Hogan. He's wrestled other WWE names. I mean, he's got legit cred. So this is a different perspective what you're going through with Levi McDaniel than your tag team partner Tyler Fury, going after names like Sean Jovi and Nicholas Crenson and Sinister, a.k.a. Craven Rage and Darkfire. This is a totally different discussion than more or less.
Unlike Tyler, I got all the respect in the world for any type of legend. They work hard for what they got, but they got to learn when to hang up the boots. And honestly, Levi is at that point where if he keeps pushing himself too hard, he's going to turn into a beast that he can't recover from. And then he's going to lose all of his sanity. He's going to lose it all. Because you might not know about this. A lot of people don't know about this, but I'm going to let people in on this. After that match with the MWA tag titles.
Yes.
Levi was attacking me outside the ring. You've seen that.
Yes.
But the problem is the camera people had a little problem. They cut off short. When I was out there on the ground, he grabbed a barbed wire kendo stick and he whacked me with it and whacked me with it again. And he tried to put it on my head.
That's not the Levi McDaniel we know here on this platform. That's not the Levi McDaniel the fans in the IMF know. They don't know that about him.
Yeah. And then Tyler tried to help. He ran in and he got swung at and he got gashed open right on his arm. Like Levi's losing it.
Well, is there an age that in the backyard circuit, or is there a time that guys like Levi McDaniel or guys like Nicholas Crenson or guys like Sean Jovi or even other guys that might be in the IMF that they should maybe, hang it up, or at the very least give their spot up to guys like Tyler Fury and guys like Thomas Mcentee? Is there a particular time or an age cutoff that they should, pass the torch or give their spot up, or not really?
There's a point, yes, where I think that they should just stop. Me personally, when I keep going with my career, you can quote me on this.
I will.
I'm not going to stop wrestling until I can't do it anymore. That is me. I'm going to keep going and going and going. But some people don't have that resilience like I do. Like, I can get up from a loss and say, okay, I lost. I'm going to keep going, though, and I'm going to keep pushing. Some people can't do that. Some people can't live with a loss.
Levi McDaniel definitely didn't get a loss there. Yeah.
Yeah, he won that. And I bounced back later on, and I keep bouncing back. I'm like a piece of iron. They can bend me up all day, but I'm going to go right back into my place.
Well, that's a good line. That's a good line because you have no choice. But boy, did Levi McDaniel just flung you there. But obviously, there's no question that we'll have to see. But Levi McDaniel is it in his best interest to return to the ring, or you'd say maybe not?
It's in his best interest to probably stay away from the ring. There's people that are going to get in his head, and there's people that are going to keep pushing him until he goes over his edge. And then it's just going to become, in my opinion, a crime scene. Like, Levi McDaniel is known for his hardcore stuff, but what if he goes too far? What if he goes too far? What if he ends somebody's whole life? Like, what if he does that? What if he ends it?
I don't know. That's a question. I mean, I'd have to ask Levi that, but I mean, you're obviously yep.
You got to question his sanity every now and again. Like, he's fought me for at least 2 years. At least we've been going around wrestling each other for that long. And I've gotten a win off of him. That had to hit an impact on him somewhere.
Agreed. I think that's a good point.
And Blonde Don here in this match, he just managed to get a win off of him too. That's got to be getting into his head. Like, these new guys,
got to be getting into these other veterans. That young guys are coming, and the footsteps are coming, and that it might be time to pass the torch. This whole debate of young versus old, trampoline versus in-ring guys, or guys that are considered to be yarders versus the pros in the indies. I mean, maybe this is kind of in a way where you do align with Tyler in some form, maybe from a different perspective, but maybe where it could be that certain guys might have to move on. Judas was here. He wants Darkron to pass the torch and move on. He wants Darkron to basically just, get out, and he's going to beat him to a bloody pulp in Bremen, Ohio, at the Backyard Havoc. And there's this backyard brawl now in Wisconsin coming around. And, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on going to Wisconsin, but Tyler Fury's going down there. He's going down there with others to try to put the nail in the coffin into veterans like Levi McDaniel. He wants to put that nail in the coffin.
I can't confirm or deny what's going to happen in Wisconsin.
Yes, obviously nobody. I don't even know what the plan is.
But if bad comes to worse, and if Tyler Fury decides to get his hands a little more dirty than usual, I might just have to step in myself.
Wow. So wait a minute. Are you saying here that you would go to Wisconsin?
If it happens to come down to it, I will go down to Wisconsin.
Wow. So you would go and, I would assume, align yourself with Tyler Fury and his friends, correct?
Yeah, I would assume I would. Yes, that's definitely where I'm aiming towards.
Have you spoken to him about this, Mr. Tyler Fury?
He's been pretty distant nowadays with me. He's been kind of in his own world, but that's what I'm thinking. He's been putting his most time and effort into thinking through strategies and all sorts of different things.
But if you thought that if Tyler decided to talk with you and he said, you know what, I really want to do this, and I want to make an example of these veterans in the IMF, guys who aren't IMF originals. Remember, Sean Jovi and Nicholas Crenton and Darkfire, for example, they're not IMF originals. Remember that. They're not IMF originals. So in a way, that would still be at the core of what you believe in supporting the IMF. And if Tyler Fury, you joined him and his friends to cleanse outsiders of the IMF and to cleanse them of maybe some veterans who are holding, guys like you and some others back in the IMF, that could be acceptable to put the nail in the coffin of some veterans and go to Wisconsin.
It's definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility. What I think, in my opinion, is going to happen is that Tyler's going to go too far.
He's going to go too far. Why?
I feel like Tyler might go too far because I feel like the same thing I've been talking about Levi is happening to Tyler. And That's why
Yeah, but
I'm
Nicholas Prenson and Darkfire aren't Levi McDaniel. Levi McDaniel's a living legend. Nicholas Prenson and Darkfire in the backyard circuit, they're not legends. Some would say that they're mid. They're mid guys. Levi McDaniel's wrestled James Storm. Nicholas Prenson's Tyler Fury feels like he can take them. His friends feel like they can take Nicholas Prenson and Darkfire. They definitely Sean Jovi. They weren't scared of Sean Jovi.
Yeah, you got a point. But
Levi's a legend. Levi's like, he's a big deal. I mean, these guys, they don't seem to be afraid of them.
You know, it's an old saying that you don't show what you feel. You just go out and you do it. And when you do it, you don't know how much strength you're going to get, but you might just pull it off.
But you would say, though, in closing, that if Tyler reached out, you would consider it, but he hasn't reached out at the moment talking about Wisconsin, just to make sure, at the Backyard Brawl.
That would be correct, yes.
Okay.
If he reaches out to me, you might see my face there.
And
yes.
What's the distance like for you from Wisconsin and Appleton? What's that distance like?
The distance it's hard gauging it because I haven't really looked it up. But from Columbus,
what's the Iowa travel for you? How long does it take you to get to Palo Community Center?
About 5 hours.
Oh wow! Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so maybe another 2 hours. I don't know.
Yeah, I travel for this, and the main reason why is because I feel like I can make an impact, and that's what I came here to do.
And well, if you travel to Wisconsin, something tells me you'd make an even bigger impact, and there's no question about that for sure. What's that like then to travel? Traveling for as far as you have to come into the IMF. What has that experience been like for you?
In some periods of time, it's grueling. 5 hours there, 5 hours back. It's a long drive, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's worth it. It's a symbol of how much I care for IMF. I go that far to put on a show. I will keep going that far because it's just something that I want to do for IMF. I got all the respect in the world for IMF, for Soulja, for everybody there. That's pretty much the bottom line. But
Steel Stone Cold's line, yes.
if there's someone that has a problem with me, they're not gonna like the outcome. Okay, that's the big deal for me. They're not gonna like what they see on the other side.
Well, I definitely could see that, and I definitely would want to make sure that I don't have a problem with you, because I can see that you share my name, but your name's longer because you're proud to call yourself Thomas. I just call myself Tom. But I tell you what I am proud to show is the BYW screen here. I want to talk about that for a few minutes before I go to some other topics here before we move on here to end the show. But, you have a company. You've obviously had a lot of success with that. Where do we go from here with BYW Pro Wrestling?
My major goal is when I move to my own place, when I get a better statement on myself, a better feel for myself, I'm going to open up my doors to backyard wrestling, and I'm going to train the new generations and push them forward and get them started on their way to wrestling. That's my big goal for backyard. And you're pulling out the old footage.
I had to pull at least a video out. I had to pull something.
Yeah, that's old footage.
You did a Spotify a few years ago also. I got a chance to hear a little bit.
I did a couple of those. Yeah. I brought up a lot of things about the backyard and how much it meant to me, and
that's why I
really
wanted
the
to
main
hear.
goal.
I listened to that, and I was like, he's been a part of a lot of history in BYW, and it's always important to me, the backyard circuit. Yes, I've been doing this for 6 years. Yes, I've covered other things, but the backyard's gotten me almost to 1,000 subscribers. And, so I feel a lot to put the backyard in the underground, but more so the backyard to have that spotlight. So, I did hear that. I heard it, and that's why I wanted you here, champ.
Yeah. The backyard is literally the most important thing of my whole life that I chose to do, because that's what opened the door for everything that I got today. The backyard is how I got in the door of MWA, how I got in the door of LMFP, and eventually how I got in the door of IMF. I owe absolutely everything to my backyard company, and I want to keep growing it. So, and I want to keep pushing it forward for new talent to really shine. That's what I'm really pushing for later on in the years to come, is to make a name for myself as also a guy that gives back to the wrestling community and, is always there.
What do you take away from the IMF experiences to help you with BYW Pro Wrestling?
The takeaway for the IMF is I'm getting my name out there to a broader demographic, bigger outputs.
Cool. Right.
And eventually they're going to see my in-ring work, and they're going to want to work with me. And that's why I think it's such a big opportunity for me, is because I'm getting myself out there and helping people has always been my main goal. Getting them out there into the world, just the way that I had help getting out there in the world. These wrestlers here that are on this match, They've helped me get to where I am, and I owe that my whole career to them. I owe all that to them.
And I think that that's really important, and to see BYW continue, and when you get back out there with it, you'll be an even better wrestler than when you were wrestling here 4+ years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And the ultimate goal is I'm one day gonna start my own indie corporation, my own thing, because I feel like I can make a name for myself in all sorts of different categories. So I'm really looking to make myself a bigger person in this whole industry and entertainment in general, because I want to make a name for myself.
Well, speaking of ways you've made a name for yourself, what's with these Star Wars fan films you've been a part of? What has that been like in an experience?
That so the channel I've been a part of, Epic Film Productions, we do fan films. My major ones that I made were Spider-Man fan films. One's coming out later on this year. Star Wars, which is a big one, and I can thank my buddy Donovan Jones for that, because he scripted all that, and I just act for him. He's truly great to work for. But no, I mean, I'm getting myself out there in everything that I can while I can do it, because I know later on I might miss the opportunities to do things.
Yeah, I took drama in high school for 3 years, and I wish I would have did more with it in college. I took speech communications, but if you have a chance, I've done a few short films. There's somewhere on YouTube. I've done a couple. I've had a couple of bit roles. I definitely would like to go in. So if you have that opportunity, you should do it. Obviously, I've got this. This is, what's built my name. But yeah, if you can go out there, you should definitely do that. Let me get to a few more comments before I come back to that. Speaking of Wisconsin, Nicholas Crenson said he heard Wisconsin. Nicholas Crenson said he heard Wisconsin. Heard you. But that's up to Tyler Fury there. And somebody else, a buddy of Tyler Fury, said representing the best in the Midwest, STBW. And obviously, you are the tag team partner of Tyler Fury. And, obviously, we talked about the backyard brawl. And, who knows? It's up to Tyler. If Tyler reaches out, maybe you would go to Wisconsin. I don't know. I don't know that answer, but it would certainly be fascinating to see Thomas Mcentee side by side with Tyler Fury, the Furious T's, taking on, I don't know, Sean Jovi, James Marshall, Nicholas Crenson, and some. I don't know. I don't know what the. It's up to Tyler. Tyler's been very quiet tonight since this all came up. Maybe he's just reevaluating. Maybe he's unhinged, like you said. Maybe he's lost it. I don't know. But the Tyler Fury I knew, who could have been in a Leave It to Beaver episode, is certainly just now become a young whippersnapper who's wanting to declare war on these old guys, these, dinosaurs that roam the backyard circuit, like Nicholas Crenson, an old guy, an old fart, some would say. Darkfire just celebrated his 34th birthday, an old fart. Sean Jovi, part of the Global Backyard Wrestling Network. Sinister. These guys have been compared to the Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper of the WWF in the 1990s. That's what they've said. They've gone along with it when I brought it up. So I don't know. We'll have to find out. But so when you are a part of these films, like these fan films, how does that help you in wrestling? Does it help you in terms of being in front of a camera, speaking? What is that experience like in working those films?
It helps me get more confidence in myself. My whole career, my whole life, I've had lacks of confidence, and it's been a weakness of mine for a long, long time. And I just recently started to get out of that trend and started to get in the groove of IMF and start to feel myself out. It's been a hell of a journey, honestly. It's been a tough one, but it's been a rewarding one at that.
So it has helped. And is there any types of fan films you'd like to work that you haven't gotten a chance to work on yet?
There's been some fan films in the works that we've been talking about, and there's been different types of things like we're looking to do a DC Marvel collaboration fan film, which will be a really cool one if we can pull it off. But other than that, there's been a whole bunch of different talks about different fan films. Don't know which ones are going to be official or which ones are not. They're just
no Deadpool fan film, no anything related to
funny thing about it is one of the films that are in the works is Spider-Man versus Wolverine. So we got that. One of my good buddies, one of my wrestling buddies, Joel Cruz, and you can see him right on that screen there of BYW Pro Wrestling. Joel Cruz, he's the Wolverine, and he plays a damn good role as Wolverine. So it's going to be an amazing fan film. I recommend everyone watches it.
I would love to see, because I'm a big John Wick fan. I would love to see you guys do a John Wick fan film.
Yeah, that would be cool too. As for Deadpool, there's been talks about it. But we got to find a guy that's able to play Deadpool really well.
I don't think I'm the guy. I don't think there's other things I can do, but that's not the thing here. But if you are here, I'd like you to hit the sub button for Thomas's YouTube page, because Thomas has got 400 plus subscribers, and I want to get Thomas to 500. So there's still a bunch of you here on YouTube right now. So if you're here, go hit the sub button for Thomas. Thomas has been so gracious with us here. He's been a huge part of the IMF over these past several months, and he's done some really big things in the backyard wrestling circuit. And I want to support those who support us. So please go out there, hit that sub button for him. I am very excited to see what he's going to do in the future. He's going to be part of the next IMF show coming up here September the 28th, 28 days from now. He's going to be back here on Sportswire Radio that Thursday. Before that, every Thursday, Thomas, I bring all the IMF guys. And what I always do each time is I donate one ticket to watch you and everybody else out there, because I know how important it is to support and be a part of all wrestling matches. But there's always somebody out there you never know that maybe they want to go to a show. Maybe they want to go experience wrestling and it inspires them. So I always donate one ticket for somebody out there. So I do that always to support the IMF. We're so gracious for their support. But please support Thomas and his YouTube channel. You can go down memory lane and see a lot of footage he's got there. He's got some big stuff. You got a lot of fun stuff, a lot of action. The Blonde Don you can see before he was the Blonde Don. You can see those Friday night bashes. The BYW Hall of Fame there. I mean, that's a kind of a cool one there. And, you did your own Hall of Fame. Because, you're aware of me doing the Sportswire Hall of Fame, but you dressed up for yours. I mean, why did you dress up for yours? I don't do mine dressing up. I'm like the Jimmy Buffett or Sammy Hagar of these. I just show up in shorts and a T-shirt. And that's how I do it my whole life. I don't go out anywhere but in a wrestling shirt and shorts. My mother got married, and I was in a wrestling shirt, and I wasn't quite in shorts, but I was in pants to quite was, because that's, I don't really give a frig.
Yeah, I dressed up for it because it felt like a very important moment for all the hard work that my wrestlers did that year. Because there was so many matches that year and so many crazy title changes, storylines, stuff like that I just cannot put into words. Like it was a good year.
You got any advice for me for doing my Hall of Famer jokes? Nah, no advice for me. You got any advice for me?
In any advice? Honestly, the thing about it is there's literally no guidelines to the Hall of Fame thing. I mean, you doing it the way you do it is amazing. I did it because literally I got that blazer or what, I don't remember what it's called, but I got that the day before. Yeah, I got that before the day before, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna wear this. Literally, I just threw it together really quick. So it means a lot to them.
It's so funny because I did the first one I did. I had a British wrestler, R.P. Davis, who is the only person in the country of the UK or England to have won a major boxing and wrestling world championship. And I put on a sport jacket because I worked in politics, and I would once in a while wear these things, but I haven't worn it since pre-COVID. I now at this point, I'm always in shorts and a T-shirt, as I stated. I grew my hair out, put mutton chops on, and I did the sport jacket, and afterwards, like, okay, I'm done. I'm never doing this again. And I've never put the thing back on since. But it's funny you said that because I thought the same thing for the first one I did, but afterwards, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to put on one of those again. But maybe when I'm dead. But even then, when I'm dead, I want to be buried in a wrestling shirt. But,
shirt.
That's it, man. I got too many. One of the wrestlers from TBW yesterday, Alan Michaels, like, how many wrestling shirts do you have? And I'm like, too many. I have too many at this point. I could be buried in about 100 of them. But I thought it was funny that to put one of yours and your Hall of Fame one.
Well, if you ever want another wrestling tee, I can get you a Furious Tees shirt real quick.
Well, if we have a Furious Tees section to buy, I know you have a BYW store once upon a time. If you have a page, I tell you what, we will buy something in the next week. I'll buy it. I'll buy a shirt for you. I'll buy one.
I will tell you what, I'm going to get that up because it's been a while since I've actually put a shop up, but I'm going to do it because it's IMF. Of course, I'm going to put a shop up for it.
You should. You should. I always tell Soldier and Omen, why don't you have a store or something? But they do it differently. They just, they have their way of doing things. But everybody's got a T public page. Everybody's got Redbubble now. Everybody's got those, things. But I thought you did yours good. I think you should do the Hall of Fame introductions for us on Sportswire from now on. I think maybe you could take over for me on Sportswire. Maybe you should be the host. You're an actor now. You beat Levi McDaniel. I can't compare to you. You're a legend. I'll take over. You take over for me.
No, I can't take your job. You're too good at it.
No.
Really. Yeah, you're too good at it because you've had more experience than me doing stuff like that. So I can't take your spotlight.
Oh, well, that's okay. You could take it for me because I think Omen might be happy with you because you work on the IMF, so he actually might want you to take over my spot because you work on the IMF, so it'll stay in house. So in this particular case, Omen might be happy with that. But that was your speech, and maybe we'll have you do them, but maybe I'll put you in the Hall of Fame one of these days. How about you? Would you like to be in the Hall of Fame? I think I should put you in the Hall of Fame. You should be in, actually. You beat Levi McDaniel.
I did beat Levi McDaniel at BYW Mania. And that's a technicality. Yeah, I did.
You weren't a part of the BYW Manias with Comatose and Jacob Frost. Were you in any of those BYW Manias? Remember those before COVID? Were you in some of those?
I was not. I think there was a plan at one point for me to do it, but then I think it was like a scheduling thing. But no, the only BYW Manias I've been a part of were my own BYW Manias, and No, those BOW Mania shows that I've done, they've been so impactful because a lot of crazy things happen during those shows. That's the thing about the backyard shows that I did because unpredictability.
That's what I love about backyard wrestling. To me, there's just something about backyard wrestling that, I get excited about. I've had on a lot of pro wrestlers, I've had on independent wrestlers, and there's just something about BYW. Underground, yes, but Underground's different than BYW. IMF is not backyard anymore. They're underground, if that makes sense to you. But I think there's something about BYW that it's got a special to like cover, and I watch. And ironically, I started in covering pro wrestling, independent wrestling, but I think there's something far more gratifying about backyard wrestling. I don't know why, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, no, there's something really fulfilling about backyard wrestling because it's not like those big corporate guys, like big companies like WWE and AEW, stuff like that. They're not big corporations, like these are hungry wrestlers.
It's for the love of the sport. It's putting the blood, sweat, and tears out there, no pay, putting your body on the line. It's to me like pickup basketball. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and it reminded me as a kid, I'd go out to the playground and I'd shoot baskets for 3-4 hours, and I'd do it till I was tired. And that's what I did. I remember the summers. I would go out those summers and I'd go shoot hoops, or whatever minute I had. And I just think it's the same premise. And I just think that backyard wrestling is it's a gratifying thing. And I just think that everybody who does backyard wrestling deserves to have that spotlight. And I think it's a special, whether you've got, again, guys on the trampoline, guys on the ground, guys in the ring. And I think there is certainly levels of it. There is no question there's levels of it. But I think that BYW is something that I truly, I believe in it. And,
something crazy about Wyndham, aka Joel Cruz, in this match alone, he was fighting on a concussion.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah, he went into this match with a concussion, and he still clobbered through everybody. Even myself, even personally myself, he went the extra mile and beat the hell out of me. And I'm not even ashamed to say that. I mean, he's a true beast of a performer. The sad part, like, he won't be able to perform for any indie corporations for a while, or any like bigger wrestling promotions, because he's in the service right now.
Oh, we thank him for his service. We want to thank him for serving our country. God bless him.
Yeah, he's in the Marines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's a true soldier. He really is. Like, no matter what he does, he gives it 1,000,000%.
I'm a big believer in supporting our military. I had a friend of mine who's, I remember going into the service. I have worked in politics. I worked for a few people who were in the service and different candidates. So I appreciate the military, and we thank them for giving us the opportunities to be here. So we definitely want to thank him for his service. We really do.
Oh yeah, exactly. He really wants to keep this place that we live in free. That was his main thing that he always told me.
Well, we wish him well. We really pray for him, and we pray for all our veterans. But definitely loved watching this, and I hope to see BYW Pro Wrestling come back. I hope that we'll have a show, and we'll get to see more from it, and kind of go from there pretty much with that. So we got a chance to see some of this footage, and definitely, if you'd like to, I really would encourage you follow BYW here right at this link, BYW Pro Wrestling. Check out all the things that Thomas is a part of. He's also a part of the IMF coming up here. They've got a big show here September the 28th, 28 days from now, 27 here in New York, because it's now midnight in September. But please support Thomas. He's also done some fan film work, and he's even said, Tyler, let him know about things coming up in Wisconsin, but we'll leave that for a different time. We're very much focused about the Furious Tees, and we'll see what the future is about them. But my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. So go hit the sub button for our friends in BYW. Hit that sub button for them. I want to get them to 500 subs, And I'm going to put Thomas in the Hall of Fame here before the year is out. So I'm going to make sure he's got 2 Hall of Fames he's in. So BYW, he's got his own, and we'll put him in the Sportswire Hall of Fame because he definitely deserves that. Thank you for that. Okay, so you obviously are going to be a part of things coming up September the 28th. We're going to see you there for sure. Is there anything else you want to talk about here before I get to some final thoughts?
Not really. The only thing that I gotta say is for anybody that's in the back of IMF that thinks that they can take on the Furious T's, they got another thing coming. Tyler is training nonstop to be better.
I know.
Than he
I've had him here
night.
2 times in the last 72 hours. Oh, I get it. I know he's motivated. That I know.
He's been training nonstop. Me personally, I've been training a lot more than I usually do, and I've learned my ways of training, but I know that I got to push it the extra mile this next upcoming show because I want to prove more that I am the man that you can go to.
Well, we talked about you guys. You've had the 2 title shots. You didn't win, and, eventually you've got to have a victory, and you got to eventually cash in. So I think that you got a lot of motivation, a lot of work. Go back and watch the tape. We showed some of it tonight. But I really think that, it's a big time here. These next couple of months could be make or break in where the Furious T's go, but also in what kind of success you have here in the IMF. So it's a big time. Maybe you'll join the Midwest Express in having that success. IMF is got a deeper roster as anybody in our circuit. So it's a big, I think, next couple of months for you guys. Absolutely. We'll find out.
It's very nerve-wracking. It is. Why? For any competitor ever. They got these new hungry guys that come into the IMF or any area of the wrestling business, and you know that they are going to come in swinging and hard, and you just
IMF has that. We've got, look at what Justin Parsley's done. He's come in here, right? Justin Parsley doesn't work here. Look at what he's done with the Sinners. How about JX, Jason Storm? We knew Omen and Soldier from what they've done, but even outside guys are swinging into the IMF, and they're making some waves.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing that's going on now, and I'm all for it because it just makes me want to push harder and makes me want to go deeper in. That's just how I do things. That's how I do things. The pressure builds up and it makes me stronger. That's all that I can say about that.
Some people in sports love working under the pressure. There was a guy named Robert Horry who played for the Rockets, the Spurs, the Lakers, the Suns, and they called him Big Shot Bob. He wasn't a great player by any stretch of the imagination. He was, he played a long time in the NBA, but when the playoffs came and the last seconds of the game would come up, they called him Big Shot Bob because he must have won 7, 8 different games that led a team winning a championship. And sometimes guys rise to the occasion, quote unquote, to quote a company in Wisconsin. And then in hockey, we had Claude Lemieux. Claude Lemieux was a good player. I would say very good to very good player. But in the postseason, when he played for teams like the Montreal Canadiens, the New Jersey Devils, the Colorado Avalanche, one of the greatest postseason players. There are people, John Smoltz, he was with the Atlanta Braves, one of the greatest postseason pitchers. Andy Pettitte with the Yankees. Sometimes there are people that rise to the occasion. Maybe the Furious T's will finally get over the hurdle here and win some gold, and under pressure will win something big. We'll have to find out here. So obviously, all great stuff. Anything else you want to add before I get to closing thoughts? And definitely want to see you back here in a couple weeks. I know it's a big IMF's going through a lot of things in terms of this whole thing with the Sinners and with the foundation, but I hope to get you back here.
No. As for the Sinners,
yes,
and as for the foundation, as for these big factions that are yes. in IMF, I am against one man in the Sinners. I'm not done with Felix Jones.
Now, you got a lot of history with Felix Jones, which is also where you and Tyler Fury would bond together. And what do you think of Felix Jones? I'm not even going to ask you about some of the things he said about his father because I can't repeat them on this platform. But Is Felix Jones really, is he getting bad advice?
Felix Jones, I feel like he's going in the wrong direction. He's going into a direction where he might not be able to come out of. And you know, when I fought him the first time I've ever fought him, and the last time so far, when I fought him, he felt because I've watched tapes, I've watched what he wrestled like. He felt off that night. He felt a little off because I came in there and I was ready to wrestle, obviously, but he felt off. Like a chip was a little bit on his shoulder and a little bit off. There's no in between with these things, but I felt it. And that's when I knew there was a way to catch him off guard. I knew he was going to try to cheat. There's no way that he wasn't going to try to cheat in that match. But as soon as I seen he went back to that manager, I knew I had to get up as fast as I could. It was really hard because he was putting the hurt on me. But when I got that victory, it didn't feel complete because it didn't feel like he was at 100%. And I want another match with him one day.
Well, he's been a huge topic right now in the backyard circuit, again, because of the Sinners and obviously his situation with his father and also the man that has decided to pop on here because he's here Monday night. Justin Parsley. Felix has a real father. Now, I'm not going to ask you on that situation. I mean, it's awful eerie that those two individuals dress and look alike. What I will say,
so much alike.
It's really like, I don't know. I don't really want to go down that road. We did that here on Sportswire. What I will say is Justin, I own 1/3 of the company he's my champion of. So I'm happy he's the PWF champion at the moment. I don't think I'm going to get into the whole IMF debate between Foundation and Sinners. But I will say that Justin is doing very well for the PWF and representing us against Jack Delta. He's definitely made a real case that he could end Jack Delta's run, the outsider Jack Delta, an outsider versus the outsider. I'm sure it'll be a topic tomorrow's show with James Taylor, the owner of ROBW, and Justin gives the, I think, the devil horns there. Ironically, Justin's doing that. He'd be the opposite of devil horns. But thank you, President Zaddy, for saluting. Yes, that is not my money on the screen, but that is President Zaddy's money. But okay, well, I guess you'll obviously have your issues with Felix Jones one day maybe settled, and you've also wanted Ox McCoy in a match. So you've got your eyes on those Sinners then, basically.
I got my eye more towards the Sinners, yes.
Yes, that would make sense. That would definitely make some sense. Well,
yeah. I won't necessarily say that I will go into the Foundation, and I won't necessarily say I won't go into the Sinners. I'm not going to
be a group guy. You seem like kind of more of a lone wolf. Let me pick the right spot kind of deal. That's
exactly what it is. I'm here for the fans. I'm here for everything that's good for companies and that's bad for companies.
Well, that's what my experience is on this podcast. You should take over because that's kind of my approach. I try to, I'm not here to be with one particular individual. I'm here to present everybody's side. That's I'm here to make a name for myself, and I'm here to prove that no factions mean anything when you're good enough. You know what I mean? You can go out if you get that pop from the crowd and they know you and you're not part of a faction, then you've done something right. I could definitely hear you on that. That's some people believe in that. I definitely could see where you're coming from. I definitely am looking forward to seeing more from you coming up here. Definitely September 28th. And as the IMF moves into downtown Cedar Rapids, and Thomas, if you want to check him out, BYW Pro Wrestling on YouTube. He is on Facebook as well. Not really put people's personal Facebook pages up, but he is on Facebook. You can also check him out through Epic Fan Film Productions. And you'll definitely see, I'm sure, a lot of Tyler Fury very soon here on this platform. So I'm sure he's a topic. Tyler. I
gotta get a seatbelt on that guy or something. He's
you know crazy. What though, him and his friends, I don't know. You know what, they have just been there. Who knows? Let's move away from that for a minute. We love obviously all our wrestlers. We're not going to get in the middle of the that whole situation there. It's brewing in Wisconsin. But I tell you what, Thomas Mcentee, I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to make, plug, share, or say? I now pass the baton to you, and the floor is yours.
The only thing I got left to say is, the only thing I got left is the next show that I'm around, it's going to be a totally, completely different me. I'm going into that ring with a purpose of revival. I'm tired of all these big names like Felix Jones, other tag teams, the Midwest Express. I'm tired of all these guys thinking that I'm just a pushover. I'm done with that. I've been like that my whole life. I'm done with that. So my final thoughts are, when the next show comes around, I'm going to make a name for myself that I've never made before. So be ready, be prepared, and please show up. It'll be an amazing show.
Well, I tell you what, even though I'm in New York, I always buy one ticket for somebody to show up. So I did make that clear, and Levi was here. So one person out there, if you want to watch, you get a chance to, and you won't regret it. And Thomas Mcentee is especially looking at you, Jordan Netz and Jason Myers, looking at you especially because you hold those titles now, but you may want to sleep with one eye open. We'll have to find out. I'm very excited about more IMF coverage. Justin Parsley will be here Monday night. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about that. You'll also hear from Remy Ravage, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Sean Jovi. Yeah, and you'll hear, I'm sure, throughout the week, a lot more IMF coverage ahead. But all the IMF links are below. Check them out. Support them. That's Thomas's YouTube page. Please support him. Support those who are about all wrestling matters. Thomas is figuratively and literally done. He's wrestled on a mat. He's wrestled on the ground. He's wrestled on the floor. He's wrestled no ring, no ropes. He's wrestled on a trampoline. And now he's wrestling inside a ring for our very good friends over in the IMF. And he'll be a part of their next show, September 28th. Stay tuned for more details. A lot of fun. I'm looking forward to next time putting you in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Congratulations on all the success so far. Looking forward to the fan film stuff. And we'll see if you and Tyler turn the corner here coming up. You both have definitely made a strong case that you will. Here, figuratively and literally outside of Palo and beyond. And looking forward to doing this again. And thank you so much for your time. And I can't wait to see what you do here in the next few weeks. And I'm sure I'll see you here on September 26th.
Yeah, yes, you will. It's been an honor, Tom. It's been an absolute honor.
Well, the pleasure is certainly all Tyler Fury's. I'm only kidding. It's a joke. We're having fun. But that was Thomas Mcentee. I had a lot of fun with him. Most importantly, he is one half of the Furious Tees. They'll be in action coming up here September the 28th at the next IMF show. My name is your Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. If you're on Sportswire Radio, you're on our website, sportswireradio.org, via the Listen Live button. You're going back to your regularly scheduled programming. If you're on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, and X, I'm going to be here 2 times with Remy Ravage and Sean Jovi, and then with James Taylor, ROEW owner. So definitely a busy day ahead here on Sportswire Radio. Wouldn't have it any other way without your support. We wouldn't be here. Please continue to support us at YouTube, Sportswire Radio, 6579, almost at 1,000 subs. Help us get there. Thomas is at BYW Pro Wrestling, almost at 500. IMF's info below. Go out there and support them. I'll see everybody here in a little while because we are now here today, New York time, and almost about to be in September in Iowa and Nebraska time. So until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters. And this was the story of Thomas Mcentee. And until then, I'll see everybody 3:30 p.m. Eastern time with Remy Ravage, the XCW International Champion, with Sean Jovi, America's resident rockstar and your IMF U.S. Champion. Good night, everyone.